Tonight, Fox 10 investigates the murder of a pregnant teenage girl who disappeared from a group home in Surprise earlier this month.
That 16-year-old was found dead at a park in Maryvale the morning after the July 4th holiday. And a Fox 10 exclusive, investigator Justin Lum is speaking to loved ones about how this tragedy happened and the search for her killer.
Remember the names Zariah Finley Dodd and her unborn child, Zaloni. Zariah was in state custody and lived in numerous group homes. Now, Phoenix police are investigating her murder, and loved ones say she's a product of a system that failed her.
Intelligent, smart, brave, resilient. It didn't matter what you threw at her.
Richland Fox was not Zariah Dodd's birth mom, but she sure saw her as a daughter. Fox used to work as a house manager for Sunshine Residential, which operates 30 group homes in Arizona for kids who are victims of abuse, abandonment, and neglect. Even when Fox left Sunshine, she became Zariah's kinship caregiver and wanted to adopt her. Earlier this year, the teen became pregnant, and her baby shower was scheduled for September.
We talked about how she wants to be a mother, but she's afraid because she's a child having a child. And so, but she wanted it. She wanted to be a mommy, but she didn't want it in the way that it happened this way.
She left the group home in Surprise near Cactus and Litchfield Roads to take a walk, but never came back. Fox did not find out about her disappearance until the next day.
No messages are going through her phone. I then noticed that her social media that I also contact her on is completely gone.
She believes Sunrise Residential should not have let Zariah walk out on her own.
Being able to just walk outside the street at 7 o'clock at night at dark and you're pregnant, as a parent, even if my child wasn't in DCS, I wouldn't allow that to happen. 16 and pregnant, you're walking outside at night.
We reached out to Sunshine. A spokesperson says the staff called law enforcement and DCS promptly after Zariah went missing. Surprise Police tells me the report on Zariah was taken just after midnight on July 5th and that the officer was told she left the house around 8 p.m. earlier that night. Nearly 12 hours later, Phoenix police found Zariah's body at Maryview Park, shot to death. Sunshine spokesperson released this statement saying, "Our hearts are broken as we mourn the loss of a member of the Sunshine family, and we will not rest until justice is served. We share our deepest condolences with the family and loved ones who were affected by this horrific crime. Our #1 priority is to keep our children, staff, and community safe." We continue working with the Phoenix Police Department and partnering agencies in their ongoing investigation. The person responsible must be brought to justice to protect our community from further violence. Why would someone shoot a pregnant 16-year-old girl?
You're not even human, to be honest. That is a coward move.
We reached out to DCS to ask if there is an active investigation into this Sunrise group home. Officials cannot comment due to confidentiality laws. Zariah's loved ones have plans to hold a vigil on Friday night at Maryview Park. I'm Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum.
As Justin mentioned, a vigil for Zariah and her unborn child is Friday night at Maryview Park. That is near 57th Avenue in Osborne. It begins at 7 p.m.
These court documents detail the many times 16-year-old Zariah Dodd told people that she feared for her life and the men accused in her killing.
I asked her, how does she know my daughter, She says, I know the man that has your daughter. She said, I know Jarrell.
Adrienne says her daughter disappeared multiple times last year with 36-year-old Jarrell Davis. She was fighting for answers in a case involving a court order of protection for her daughter against Davis when a message from Zariah Dodd popped up in May asking for help.
She later said, but I'm scared to speak up. I'm 16. I'm pregnant by him. She firmly said in the message, he told me if I said anything that he had people that would kill me. I immediately turned that over to police the next day.
Adrienne went to police, and she wasn't the only one who reported concerns shared by Dodd in the months before she was shot and killed in Maryview Park over the 4th of July weekend. Court documents say 18-year-old Jacree James Gillette confessed to pulling the trigger, alleging that Davis threatened death if he did not. Davis denies these allegations, but both are charged in her murder.
When I heard that it happened, I immediately knew he had something to do with it.
Records state Dodd also told her DCS caseworker that back in December, she felt forced into intercourse with Davis when she was just 15, that he had a gun at the time and that she was scared that he would use it. DCS said the incident was reported to law enforcement in April.
It saddens me that even Zariah herself reached out.
Dodd's former kinship caregiver left the group home long before this occurred, but kept up a friendship. She says she never got the full story from the teen, who she tried to help like family. Did she ever tell you she was scared?
No, she didn't.
The documents say Dodd left her group home on the 4th of July for a walk, but was instead picked up by Gillette. The investigation found that Dodd also texted another girl at the group home that same night, that she was afraid and being driven in circles.
But now hearing all of this, that she was reaching out, it hurts me. Because it's like all of this could have been prevented.
Dodd was killed just days before she had a scheduled forensic interview in Davis's sexual conduct investigation. Those close to Dodd questioning what could have been done earlier.
Where was the protection for her in all of this? Why wasn't she moved? And why wasn't her phone being stripped?
She hopes those precautions and more are put in place if a situation like Dodd's ever happens again.
They need to do better.
Lillian Donahue, ABC 15, Arizona.
At 9 tonight, police arrest 2 men in the murder of a pregnant teen in Phoenix.
And they face first-degree murder charges in the death of Zariah Dodd. Police say one of those suspects was the unborn child's father. Police say 36-year-old Jarrell Davis and 18-year-old Zariah James Gillette conspired in Zariah's murder. Police say Dodd ran away from a group home in Surprise the night of July 4th. She was reported missing 4 hours later. The next morning, she was found dead at Maryview Park. Zariah's father reacting to the news of the arrest and the fact that the 36-year-old Davis impregnated his 16-year-old daughter.
Honestly, disgust. I mean, he's 36, 30, whatever. It's traumatizing. But I'm happy that they did find the people who did this. That was my main objective there, as far as, you know, the investigation, how it was put out there. A lot of mixed emotions. I do want to follow this. I want to stay on top of it to continue to get more justice for my daughter and my granddaughter.
And tonight, loved ones gathered to celebrate Zariah's life with a vigil at Maryview Park near 55th Avenue in Osborne in West Phoenix.
And Fox 10's Taylor Wirtz was there. She has coverage for us tonight.
Balloons, candles, shirts, and signs, all in memory of 16-year-old Zariah Dodd and her unborn daughter.
The most important thing is to know that she was a child who was failed at many times in the system.
Richland Fox, Zariah's former kinship caregiver, tells me Dodd went through more in her short life than most people ever do.
She endured a lot of homes before she came to me. I think over 20-something homes before she came to me in 2022.
But she still had so much love to give.
She had this little shy little side. She was very innocent. It was like some things that she should have known, but she didn't know.
She thinks it was that desire to be loved back that hurt Dodd the most.
What it is in foster care, you're looking for love. You're looking for a family to say, I love you and I want you. The whole message about Zariah is that this was all a story of her looking for love.
Pink was one of the main choices of color tonight. As you can see in these pink ribbons everyone's wearing here, so many people have shown up, those who knew Zariah and loved her, to raise awareness for a life and the life of her unborn child taken too soon, and raise awareness for a system that failed her.
Though it won't bring her back, with 36-year-old Jarrell Davis, the father of her unborn child, and 18-year-old Jacree James Gillett facing murder charges, Zariah's family and friends say they finally feel like she's getting her justice.
It hurts me that a man like that will take control of a vulnerable child like that. So today, justice was served, and it couldn't come at any better time, because tonight's her vigil and tomorrow's her service, and so she went down with the justice that she needed.
Taylor Wirtz, Fox 10 News.
Charges have been filed for one of the men accused of killing 16-year-old Zariah Dodd and her unborn baby in July. 36-year-old Jarrell Davis is already being charged for murder and another felony in that case. These new charges, we're learning, are for another victim. Troy Lynch joins us live in the studio with what those are. Tell us all about this.
Yeah, well, Jarrell Davis was back in court last night where he learned the significant number of charges in another case where police say he took advantage of another victim that is not Zariah Dodd. You can listen to him here.
There's 11 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, which is a Class 2 felony. 3 counts of luring minor for sex exploitation, which is a Class 3 felony. 2 counts of child enticement using electronic devices, which is a Class 5 felony. 4 counts of sexual conduct with a minor, which is a Class 6 felony. And then 8 counts of disobeying or resisting an order of the court, which is a misdemeanor.
Now, Avondale police forwarded this case to Maricopa County Attorney's Office after their investigation alleges that Davis asked a 17-year-old to send him explicit images, and the victim already had an order of protection against him. Now, all of these charges come after Davis was already facing murder and sexual misconduct of minor charges for the shooting and killing of 16-year-old Zariah Dodd, who was 22 weeks pregnant with his baby. Now, police say on July 5th, they found Dodd dead at Murray View Park in West Phoenix with a gunshot wound to her head. Now, according to police, Davis conspired to kill Dodd with 18-year-old Jekrai James Gillett, who is also being charged for murder. Now, his exact involvement is not known yet, but they believe he was dating Dodd around the same time that she was killed. Now, the motive in this case, prosecutors believe Dodd was likely killed to prevent her from having the child. Detectives later discovered Dodd was living in a surprise group home, and the state of Arizona was acting as her guardian. Dodd left her group home on July 4th to meet up with Davis and never returned. Now, both Davis and Gillett are being held on a $1 million cash-only bond, where for the new case, Davis added a $150,000 cash bond. We're live here in the studio. Troy Lynch, 12 News.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this video. I came across the story of Zariah Dodd. She was a 16-year-old girl who was pregnant, and she was unalived by the hands of her baby's father, 36-year-old Jarrell Davis, and his 18-year-old accomplice, Jekari, Gechri, I don't know how to say that, Gilead. All right. So this girl she lived in Arizona. She was in a group home. But before she went into that group home, she was in 20 different homes before she ended up in Sunshine Residential, something for teen mothers. It's a program for teen mothers. So this is the last one she went into because she was pregnant, obviously. So the last foster parent said that Zara, however you say her name, would sneak out all the time to go be with this man. Uh, this pervert. And so she told friends that she was scared of him. Excuse me. She was scared of him. And that, uh, I guess nobody responded back. So I guess why this crime occurred was because she was going to tell her caseworker a few days after she was unalived by Jarrell, her baby's father, what he had done to her. She said that he pointed a gun at her and forced her to have, sex with him. That's how she ended up pregnant. She said he would supply her with marijuana. He was a gang member. He carried around AK-47s, right? So how the 18-year-old got into all of this was that he was supposedly the boyfriend of Zahar, okay? Jakari. I'm gonna call him Gilead because I don't know how to say his first name. So you'll call him by his last name. So 18-year-old Gilead is the boyfriend. He's the one who lured her out. So I guess before like the sun went down, July 4th, she asked the staff at Sunshine Residential to leave. They told her no, but she left with Gilead anyways. And I'm wondering, how can she just walk up and leave? Like, aren't there guards? Do they have check-ins? What's going on? Why did it take so long for them to figure out she was gone? So during this time frame, she texts somebody at the Sunshine Residential to tell them she was scared of uh, Jarrell. And they said that the caseworker emailed the foster home to say, hey, this girl is missing. But by that time, it was too late. She was already dead because a guy walking his dog found her on Marvell Park, face down, with a pew pew wound to her head. Okay, all because he wanted to cover up that he impregnated this little girl. And this is not the first time that he was caught impregnating little girls. In 2008, the same year that Zahara was born, okay, this man was 19 years old. In 2008, a 14-year-old got pregnant by him. He went to court and got probation. They gave him probation, they let him off. And then last year, okay, he had relations with a 17-year-old, and the mother had to get a restraining order out on him. This man should have been locked up from day one and pregnant a 14-year-old. There's a lot of men who pregnate 14-year-olds and they're in jail. Why wasn't he in jail? That's not fair. And now he unalived someone, right? Supposedly his little accomplice's buddy. But why is an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old hanging out with a 36-year-old? This man is 36. He was born in 1988. She was born 20 years later in 2008. And this little boy was probably born 2005, I think, 2006, something like that. Why? So they left in a Chevy Equinox from the group home. The video literally shows it. And then when he went to go dump her body at the park, the camera at the park shows him going back to that same Chevrolet Equinox. Okay, this man, well, Gilead, her boyfriend, the 18-year-old, unalived his own pregnant girlfriend. Mind you, the child is not Gilead's, it's Jarrell's. Hold on, please. So Gilead had a Bersa, a BERSA .380 pistol, and he shot her right between her eyes, and with that pistol, and it belonged to Jarrell. It didn't belong to an 18-year-old, right? It belonged to this nasty, gosh, PDF file, okay, there's just, it's like you can't get nobody your age. Really? You can't get no other 36-year-olds. You have to go after teenagers. And I think that this group home, the state of Arizona, the court system, the children's court system, if the mother knows a good lawyer, she should sue all three of them for this. Because the state is liable for your child. The group home is the damn babysitter. All right? They should be liable for what happened to this child. They should go through all their licenses and everything. This is ridiculous how the court system always fails babies. 100% of the time. Always fails them. You take them away from the parent because the parent is unfit. But then you put them in these homes. But the homes are more unfit than the parents. I don't get it. You might as well just leave the child with the parent because the parent is more fit than the damn group homes and these damn foster homes. Apparently, because the state can't get their shit together. I think that this man should get the death penalty because they said that he killed the unborn and the mother. So he should get the death penalty. They were arrested July 31st. I don't know why it took so long to arrest this PDF file and his accomplice, but it did. So this is ridiculous. So now they're having a trial. I think they had a hearing August 7th. I'm a little late to the party, but it got vacated. So I guess we're just going to wait to see what happens. But hell, what do I know? I'm just a talking head. Have a great day, YouTube.
Don't you love it when the story finally come together? So let's talk about the story we got versus what really happened. So the story we got about a month ago was that this baby right here, 16-year-old Zariah Dodd, left her group home, went for a walk, and just never came back. And the next morning, she was found unalive. They never said how she was found unalive, what was going on, the circumstances about what she was found, only that she was found at Maryview Park in West Phoenix. Now, since then, there has been a barrage of reports of how Phoenix or Arizona DPS needs to be defunded, how they don't take care of these kids, how these group homes are run, and a whole slew of other things. But nobody said what happened to this baby and how she was failed. But today it came together. So here's what we know so far. That on the 4th of July, Zariah Dodd left Sunshine Residential, which is the name of the group home that she was staying in. Now, it was originally reported that she was going for a walk, but whether she went for a walk or she just left, they're now saying she ran away from the group home. After 4 hours of her being gone, they reported her as missing and as a runaway. So, of course, it came all across all the Phoenix news and stuff that she was missing. The following morning, on July 5th of 2025, she was found unalived in a park, but they never said how or why. But we now know that she was found by a man who was walking his dog in the park, and she had a pum-pum wound to the head. Now, just earlier this week, it came across all of our Phoenix TVs that 2 teenagers had been arrested for unaliving her. But one was 18 and the other one was 18 plus 18. They wasn't no damn teenagers. So here's where we're going to start saying this baby's name. So the 2 people that were found or arrested for the unaliving of Zariah is Jarrell Davis, who was 36, and Jacree James Gillett, and he was 18. Let's start with Jarrell last. And there's Jarrell. So Jarrell is 36, born in 1988. And we found out that Jarrell has been in custody since July 15th, which was before he was said to have been arrested for this. Why, you might ask? They caught up to Jarrell, and Jarrell was in the company of a 17-year-old that has been missing since May. A 17-year-old whose mother had put out a restraining order on Jarrell to keep him away from her baby last August. Now, when he was found, he was not only found with said 17-year-old, but he was also found with a pum-pum. And he's not allowed to have those. So he was arrested on that alone. Now, why can't Jarrell have pum-pums? That's because he pled guilty to the abuse of a minor back when he was 19 years old because he decided to plant a baby in a 14-year-old. So we got a 14-year-old at 19. He was just caught with a 17-year-old whose mama at least has been on his ass since last year when he was about 35. And DNA has confirmed that he was the father of Zariah's unborn child. And I believe she was already had the name picked out, Zalani. Now, this one down here in the bottom is 18-year-old Jacree James Gillette. Now, while his involvement has not been completely clear, according to the DA, James was allegedly dating Zariah at the time of this unaliving. Now, I don't know how these two pieces of mail, if you want to call them, how they know each other. But both of them are now facing first-degree M for the unaliving of this baby and the unaliving of her baby. So they're both facing 2 first-degree unaliving charges. So it looks like we were already looking at our Houston Danker for August 12th and then Donna Adelson for August 19th. But I might bother y'all round about August 7th when Jarrell take his ass back to court for disposition. Say this baby's name. There must be justice for Zariah Dodd. Now, I am aware that there are loads of information, the same way it was with Naziah, about alleged text messages and all these other things. The only thing that I can confirm is that Zariah was in the process of completing her forensic interview. And because we did the Washington versus Ali, we are understanding that a forensic interview is usually done by a nurse and is actually done with someone who has suffered from something very traumatic as an assault. With Fatima, it was strangulation. So you can imagine this baby was 16 with a 36-year-old. So on the day that she was unalived, she was still supposed to report at a later date to finish her forensic interview about her pregnancy. And apparently, according to the DA, not the extra on the internet, according to the DA, Jarrell did not want her having this baby. And these were all explained at his arraignment that they did, and damn near in the middle of the night, judge came right up there and saw about his ass. That these were all motives for why he's being charged with what he's charged for. And at the time of the arraignment, DNA had already confirmed that Jarrell, over there with the longer hair, was absolutely the father of Zariah's unborn child. Whew, child, I'm supposed to be off on Sundays, and here we are. Add them to the list, because we will be following this. Phoenix, Arizona. Be confused no longer, because here's the evidence. Here's what happened. So if you have not seen the video before this, follow the comment. But we know this is 16-year-old Zariah Dodd, who was 22 weeks pregnant when she was found unalived on July 5th of 2025 in Maryview Park in Phoenix, Arizona. She was found with a pum-pum wound to her head, and she had been reported missing the night before on July 4th by her group home that she lived in. So 36-year-old Jarrell Davis, which is the one with the longer hair, and 18-year-old Jacree James Gillette have both been charged with a count of first-degree unaliving for both her and her child. DNA has confirmed that Jarrell Davis with the long hair is the father of her child. So we have since found out that last December, Zariah Dodd made her DCF caseworker aware that Jarrell Davis ain't no nice person. He made her give herself to him under the threat of a pum-pum. Zariah Dodd also told them that he is a known gang member. He totes an AK-47, and he makes sure that he gives these babies the Mary Jane to partake in. On July 4th of 2025, Zariah Dodd was dating or had a boyfriend of Jacree James Gillette, the 18-year-old with the shorter hair. On July 4th, she asked the powers that be at the group home if she could leave to go hang out with her new boyfriend. They told her no. But surveillance shows that Zariah left anyway and was seen leaving with Jacree. On the same surveillance, they saw the two teenagers go jump into a Chevy Equinox. That Equinox was owned by Jarrell Davis. The car takes off and there is no further communication between Zariah and anyone until midnight that night, in which Zariah actually texts somebody, a friend at the group home, and let them know that she was scared. Hours later, she was found in Maryview Park, unalived, but they didn't quite know it was her yet. Now, the other thing about Maryview Park is there was a camera around there, and that camera saw a hooded suspect running back to a Chevy Equinox, the same one. It wasn't until July 9th that Surprise Police and Phoenix Police kind of figured out that the victim from the park matched the missing girl report from Surprise, and they figured out that that person that was unalived was Zariah. It was at that point that DNA confirmed that the child that Zariah was carrying when she lost her life, whom also lost their life, that baby was confirmed by DNA to be Jarrell's. Now, when Jarrell was picked up on July 15th, it was confirmed, he had two pum-pums with him at that time. It was confirmed that the Bursa 380 that he had on him matched the projectile fragments that was retrieved from Zariah in her autopsy. Now, remember, they said when Jarrell was picked up, he said that wasn't his pum-pum, that belonged to a friend of a friend. I remember I said I wonder if that friend was Zariah. But he did tell the police that that pum-pum belonged to Jacree. And we also know that Jarrell is not supposed to have any pum-pums because he's already a felon for impregnating a 14-year-old when he was 19. On top of that, those two pum-pums that Jarrell was found with, he was also in the company of a 17-year-old minor that had been missing since May, and whose mother has been going for a year trying to get charges placed on this man and at least a restraining order. And I'm happy to announce that he now has charges about that 17-year-old too. Now, outside of the pum-pum matching Zariah and the DNA, there were also text messages between these two here at the bottom, Jarrell and Jacree, that not only discussed Zariah's body, but they also had pictures of the crime scene. Now, we know Jarrell was picked up on July 15th, but Jacree was picked up on July 31st. And Jacree confessed. Jacree confessed that he is the one that took out Zariah Dodd, but he did it because Jarrell threatened both of them. He said Jarrell Davis ordered him to take out Zariah Dodd or Jarrell was going to take out both of them. And this is why I said Arizona got its very own Jarvis Butts. And you know we are following the case justice for Naziah Harris of Jarvis Butts unaliving the baby that he impregnated, and they never found her body. But Jarrell is doing the same thing that Jarvis is doing. Absolutely just as easy peasy as lemon squeezy. This man said, yep, I had some inappropriate conduct with a minor. I knew I had inappropriate conduct with a minor, and I knew she was pregnant. But I didn't take her out. So even though Jacree has confessed and said that Jarrell ordered it, Jarrell is very much saying, I didn't have nothing to do with that. I did wrong. I had relations with a minor, and I knew she was pregnant, but I didn't have nothing to do with what that little boy did. Both of them have matching charges. They have the first-degree unaliving, not only for Zariah, but for her unborn baby that we now know she planned to name Zelani. So I hope this helps, friend, and clears all of this up. Today is Thursday, August the 7th. It is about 6:30 in the morning, and later on this morning, Jarrell Davis actually does have his disposition hearing, so I'll see what I can find on that. I don't know that they'll televise it, but hopefully this clears up the madness for everybody, and everybody can understand the magnitude of what these animals did to this baby. All right, guys, so while I was gone yesterday, I know who this baby is up there. This is Zariah Dodd. Now, we do know that, and I'll link this to the playlist so you can see all the other videos, but this is the 16-year-old who was found at a Phoenix park with a wound to her head. She was 22 weeks pregnant by Mr. Longhair over here, who has a lengthy record since he was 19 years old and is currently 36. of doing things with minors. Now, next to him is 18-year-old Jacree James Gillette. Now, Jacree claimed to be the boyfriend of Zariah when she was unalived, but it turns out that he was the one that lured her to go ahead and run away from her group home, come with him, and the car that they jumped into happened to belong to Jarrell over here, Mr. Jarrell Davis. Now, we do know that sometime that night that Zariah did text her friend that they were just driving around in circles and that she was scared, and then of course hours later she was discovered by somebody who was walking their dog. Now, just really briefly, we know that at some point, Jarrell was found not only with a 17-year-old minor by the name of Anaya, whose mom also has had her charges brought up. But if they would have listened to Anaya's mom a year ago when she was trying to tell them about Jarrell and about him being in her house and coming after her daughter and gave her that restraining order and took that more serious, they might have saved Zariah. Now, Anaya's mom also talks about Jacree. She said he's no innocent person, and she also called out the parents and grandparents of Jacree, who basically allowed Jacree to be around Jarrell even as a minor, as if Jarrell was some sort of mentor for him. Now, we know that Jarrell was picked up on July 15th with said 17-year-old minor that had been missing since May. And then he said, hey, that's not my pium-pium, because he ain't supposed to have them. He said that belonged to a friend of a friend, and that friend of a friend just happened to so-called be Jacree, not your mentee. Well, when they pick up Jacree's ass on July 31st, he said, oh, yeah, I did do it, but he told me to, or he was going to take me and Zariah out. Well, as of last week, both Jacree and Jarrell are now co-defendants. And Jarrell is claiming, hey, I don't know what he did because I didn't do that. I might have been with a minor. I'll give you that. Yes, I know that minor was with child. Give you that. But I did not take her out. So as you guessed it, we are going to trial. So on the 15th, on Friday, both of these people walked into that courtroom in Phoenix and said they were not guilty, which means we go on to trial about this baby. So again, they had status conferences on the 14th and an arraignment on the 15th where they both claimed to be not guilty, which means we're still going to that next trial date that we told you about, which would be September the 11th. But that is going to be a status conference for pre-trial. So it looks like from there until trial, we'll be meeting monthly about these two. And it looks like those conferences are going to happen on October the 1st. November the 13th, and then with the final one pre-trial scheduled to be around April the 2nd, which means on April 9th, we're going to be in a courtroom about Zariah Dodd. If I see any more updates, I will let y'all know, but I just want to let y'all know these two are taking it to trial. Good morning.
A 36-year-old child predator unalives a 16-year-old teen who was pregnant with his baby 6 months pregnant, all in an attempt to hide the fact that he is a child predator. It is being said that he was already on probation for getting a 14-year-old pregnant when he was just 19. Now 36, still continuing on those predatory ways. Now, the young lady was in a group home at the time, so questions are being asked as to how was she able to get away that late at night on July 4th to go and meet this man at a park where they then ambushed her and she died and was found the following day. So this is 16-year-old Zariah Dodd, and she was 22 weeks pregnant by this man down here with the dreads who's 36 years of age. Now, his name is Jarrell Davis, and on the other side is his 18-year-old accomplice. They've both been arrested and charged with murder and being held on a $1 million cash bond. Now, it is being said that on the night of July 4th, she went and met him at a park. Her body was found on a park bench, and it said that she was shot to death. Now, she was in a group home at the time. Hours before her body was found, she was reported missing by that group home. Now, her former foster mother spoke to the local news station and said that this guy, Jarrell Davis, has a type, that he would intentionally seek out young teenage girls who were in group homes because he knew that they didn't have a lot of people who cared about them, which made it easier for him to manipulate them and take advantage of them in that way. But when she got pregnant and it could have been exposed, he got scared. Now, the former foster mother also stated that other foster children, told her that Jarrell would often throw parties to lure them in, drinking, drugs, providing them things like that to get in their good graces. Now, a lot of people are asking questions because she was in a group home. How was she able to leave that group home to go and meet this man? Now, as somebody who has been in a group home before, okay, if these teens are not in a lockdown facility, you cannot put your hands on them. They can walk out of that door and then they become a runaway, right? And then you're supposed to do your due diligence in reporting them missing. Call 911 or wherever you're supposed to call to report what has taken place so that they can be on the lookout for them. Now, it was said that she was actually in foster homes prior to her going to a group home. And the reason why she was changed from a foster home type of household to a group home was because she was a repeated runaway. This is just all really, really sad. And it's really like looking for love in all the wrong places and getting in the hands of a monster, right? And then he concocted with an 18-year-old, and that makes me think about what was that 18-year-old's home life like? Where were his parents? Why is he deciding to go along with something that had nothing to do with him, and now he's given up his life? Because he's facing the same charges as the guy who impregnated the 16-year-old girl.
Did you guys see the viral story about the 16-year-old Zariah Dodd from Arizona? She was pregnant by a 36-year-old worker from a group home, only to be set up with her boyfriend for the two to come together to lure her to the park to unalive her because he didn't want anybody to know that the baby she was carrying was his baby. She was set to go and tell the worker everything, and he knew he had to get rid of Zariah before any of the information ever came out. You guys check it out. It's going viral.
Did y'all hear about the pregnant 16-year-old that was unalived by two men in Phoenix at a park? Her name was Zariah Dodd. Left her group home on July 4th. Now, she went missing for 4 hours. That's when they put in a runaway report. So on July 5th, somebody was walking their dog at the park, and that's when they seen her body. Pew pew to the head. So it was an arrest made. 2 people got arrested. 39-year-old Zariah Davis and 18-year-old Jacree Gillett. So this when the story get crazy, y'all. The 39-year-old, yeah, Mr. Davis nasty ass, yeah, he had that girl pregnant, and he didn't want to have a baby, and she wanted to have the baby. But what'd he do? He unalived her. You know what's another crazy thing? The 18-year-old that was with him was the boyfriend. They don't know really what's his involvement. They not saying what his involvement was, but it's weird how these two link up. You get the girl pregnant, Mr. Davis, you 39 years old. The fuck? And then the 18-year-old boyfriend is with you, Mr. Gillett. That seemed a little weird. Shit ain't adding up for me or making sense. I just got so many questions on why would he be there? Both of them? Unless he was like getting used by the 39-year-old to wheel her in, then I don't know. Not only y'all, I did a little digging on this nasty nigga. Yo, Phoenix, how the fuck is he out of jail walking around here? Them prior charges he have? How the fuck is he out of jail? Not only this, y'all, fuck boy been doing this creepy shit. So when he was 19, he got a 14-year-old pregnant. Hold on, I ain't done with you, bitch. Not only that, y'all, last year, our mama had to put a restraining order on him from her 17-year-old. He was caught with a 17-year-old, and the mama wanted to get this nigga away from her, so she put the restraining order on him. You hear me? And when he was arrested for that, got caught with a gun on him. And he was on probation. How he still getting out? He is getting charged with premeditated. And they is gonna get charged with first degree M for both her and that baby. He might get the penalty. That's what they saying. Creep racked up a whole lot more goddamn charges and another one of those minor ones. You know what I'm talking about? So RIP the baby girl to that unborn baby. Fuck the creeps. Just be careful with these kids, with your kids, these motherfuckers around here. It's getting weirder and weirder. And oh yeah, that damn group home, Sunshine Residential, motherfuckers failed these kids too. And y'all failed her. Cause where the fuck was y'all attendance at? She been missing for what? Don't they gotta check in or something? I don't know how it go, but do they gotta check in or something in a certain time? Where the fuck was y'all at? Y'all ain't seen nobody out there like around? Do fucking better. I'm pissed. If y'all haven't heard of this story, go do y'all search.